welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tina and I make videos on lifestyle, home, and DIY projects every single week. It is that time of year again and the holidays are upon us. I, along with probably every other home blogger, love the holidays because that means I'm able to decorate my home. If you saw how I decorated my apartment last year, a lot of it was DIY decor, and this year I want to create some new decor pieces to inspire you guys. I have a lot more space to fill this year, and I also am planning to do a fireplace makeover coming up right after this one. So today we're going to DIY some holiday decor, and I think you guys are going to love these ideas. I have a vision to have a styled mantelpiece with my Christmas tree and all the presents underneath and just make it a super cute nook. And speaking of presents, I want to talk about today's video sponsor, Ana Luisa. They make the perfect present for your family or friends, or even if you want to treat yourself. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you guys know that I'm a huge Ana Luisa fan. I wear their jewelry basically every single day on my ears, on my neck, and on my hands. I love their rings. They're always coming out with new pieces and collections, so every time I look at their website or Instagram account, I immediately love all the items. I recently just got the Ursa Marie necklace and I am obsessed with this. It is so unique. I love all the different colors on here, and also each gem is different, so this is a really unique piece, and they have it in other colors as well. These pieces are built to last, and I've had Ana Luisa pieces for probably about a year now, and they have not tarnished at all. So they're very high quality, and if you have sensitive skin like me, they don't irritate my skin at all. They have a variety of styles, so you are sure to find one that suits your own. Or if you're shopping for a loved one, they just came out with these really beautiful gift sets. And personally, I'm shopping for my friends and family, so those are gonna be my go-tos. All of their pieces are ethically sourced and produced, and they are also 100% carbon and water neutral. And that's something that I really love about Ana Luisa. They're creating beautiful pieces while being sustainable. And not to mention, everything is priced fairly with no luxury markups. So their pieces start at $39. From now until the 29th, you can buy everything, buy one, get one at 60% off, which I think is major. I'll have all that info as well as my favorite pieces listed in the description box down below. So make sure that you check out their sale. Okay, now that we have all of our holiday shopping sorted out, let's go ahead and jump into the first project. Do you guys see that? It's snowing! Oh my god, it's so beautiful. I have my tea ready and we are ready to DIY, and the first project is actually one from West Elm. Mini Christmas tree decor has been super popular lately, and this one is such a fun take on it since it is a ceramic tea light holder. These come in 3 different sizes, and the smallest one is 5 inches, so it's probably like this big or so. Let's measure this. Okay, it is this big. I feel like that's kind of a lot for $20, so we're going to DIY it ourselves. You can use air dry clay or polymer clay. I'm just gonna use good old polymer clay over here just so that this project goes by a little bit faster. Plus we need some tea light candles, and that's really it for this project, so let's get started. With the polymer clay, I'm rolling that into a slab for this project, and I'm going to make it more of an oval shape as opposed to a circle. And for this project, you don't want it to be too thick since we'll be folding it, so I made it about 2 popsicle sticks high. Then I used a cone template that I actually found online to trace the shape of our tree. I found a website that will give you the exact template for however tall and wide you want your cone to be, so I'll link that below as well as the one I'm using here. And initially, I'm just lightly pressing it onto the clay to create an indent as a guide. From there, it was time to put in our little cute triangle shapes. So I use a palette knife here with some straight edges on it, and I'm pressing that onto the clay and making sure that these are all different sizes. And I'm basically placing them randomly onto the clay, not really having any pattern. But the one thing that I did keep consistent was just to make sure that the bottom edge of the triangle was parallel with the curve at the bottom of the cone. After that was all mapped out, I let the clay sit so that it would be a little bit harder, and this is going to make it a lot easier to cut into. I used my X-Acto knife to cut through each of these shapes, and before I actually popped them all out, I went ahead and also sliced the cone shape with my X-Acto as well. So I thought I had cut all the way through the little triangle shapes, but turns out they needed one more pass through. So after I cut them once more, it was pretty easy to take out. And if you do happen to move the clay a little bit, you can just press it back in with your finger. It should fall back into place, and you can also take this time to smooth out any lines that you don't want to show on the surface. Now came the tricky part, which was to roll the cone to create the 3D shape. I found it easiest to kind of fold it to where the two edges meet, and that way they align perfectly. I also ended up scoring along the edge, and this allowed it to have a little bit more grip so that it would stick together. Once that was looking pretty good, I just used my fingers and I'm basically melding the two edges together to kind of get rid of that line. And not gonna lie, this step kind of looks a little wonky, but don't worry, we can go ahead and shape it however we want to get the perfect cone. Once I stood it up, I noticed that some of the edges of these small triangles definitely needed to be touched up, so I went back in with my X-Acto knife to get it just right. Okay, so I'm loving how this is looking, and you guys know the drill by now. We're going to pop it into the oven at 275 degrees, and I'm gonna leave it in there for about 25 minutes. This is fully baked now, and it is hard and perfect. It always looks better after you bake it for some reason. What's really gonna make it come to life is the sanding. So you guys can see a lot of rough edges right here. So I'm going to use some sandpaper as well as a sanding block just to smooth everything out and make it look a million times better. So I found these little emery boards, aka nail files, at Michael's. I'm not sure if they're actually meant for crafts or for your nails, but either way they worked perfectly to get a nice sharp edge on the triangle cutouts. And if there's any unevenness that you want to smooth out on the edges, I figured out that if you use your X-Acto knife along it, you can shave off a little bit of it, and this worked really well for me. And I'm not sure if carving into polymer clay is a thing, but doing this definitely gave me some ideas for future projects. For the surface, I went in with a fine grit sandpaper to remove any small bumps, and I would recommend going 200 grit or higher. Now you can go ahead and paint this whatever color you'd want, or you can leave it as is. I really like the soft white color of the clay for a more neutral look, so I'm keeping it as is and using a matte polyurethane to protect it. And if I ever get bored of the plain white, I can just go ahead and paint it a different color for each holiday season. To make our new tea light candle holder come to life, I placed an electric tea light candle right inside our new holder, and this really makes it come to life. I love how minimal this style is while being super festive, and you can customize it by making larger or small ones or making a whole bunch of colorful ones. And I think this is just gonna look so cute styled on my mantle or on a shelf for the holidays. To get started, I'm taking my hoop, and where you see the two ends meet, you can either cut it or bend it slightly back and forth and it should snap. Then I'm taking large wooden beads and we're just gonna string that through, and I honestly thought I would need to use macrame beads for this part since those have larger holes, but this one worked perfectly, and I'm going to fill this about 2/3 of the way. Then I ended up using some larger beads to fill up the rest since I just wanted to use those up, but these larger beads are also going to be really great because it gives us more surface area to glue the greenery and the little village onto as well. Once I got to the end, I added hot glue into one of the beads, and then I just connected the hoop back in place. I noticed there were some gaps between the beads, which definitely is not going to look right once we hang it up, so I'm going to fill it up in between some of those beads with some hot glue. Alright, so now comes the fun part. It is time to put our wreath together. So I found a few of these evergreen wreath picks for the greenery, and with wire cutters, I'm just gonna cut those down into smaller pieces. I got a variety of these pine needles, and I think that is really key in just getting more dimension and texture in your wreath. You'll see that some are more wiry while others are full, so I was trying to get a balance between the two of them by alternating it. I also found this mini house, which was perfect for this project. I thought it was so cute, and when I got home I actually realized that it lights up inside, so this is gonna look perfect on our wreath. And of course we're gonna need some mini trees here to complete it. Everything is looking so good, so the first thing I'm doing is just adding on the house with the hot glue, which I am just gonna center it so then I have a better idea of what I'm building around. And I also made sure that I placed it exactly where I could still turn it on. To To put the rest of the greenery together, I'm using a combination of wire and hot glue, and I think that the wire is really great into getting the smaller bits on the wreath. It keeps it secure while you glue down some of the other parts, so I like to use the wire for the little stem, and then I use the hot glue to keep everything in place. For the center point where the two sides meet, I usually add something like florals as a focal point, but I want the house to be the focal point of this wreath, so I cut down some more greenery and I just glued it coming out of the little gap there to fill up the space. This wreath is really starting to come together, and the inspiration behind this actually comes from two wreaths that I saw, one from Pottery Barn and one I saw in person at Michael's. So I combined the two together to make something completely unique, and I really love how this is looking. Making wreaths for every season is just really fun for me, especially now that I have my own front and back door to display it on, so of course I'm going to switch it in and out every season. I would love to know if you guys are the same way as well and DIY your own wreaths. I love seeing people's front door inspo, so driving around the neighborhood, I kind of peek at what everyone's working with, and it definitely gives me so much inspo, so I would love to hear what you guys do at home too. And if you're looking for even more DIY holiday decor inspo, I have a whole playlist and I'll link that down below. As you're working, feel free to adjust things, and if you see any gaps, you can go back and forth to fill it up to make it a little bit fuller. Alright, we're just about done, and the last thing I need to do is to put a big bow on the top, and I think this just completes it. You can choose any color to go with your theme. I think a red or a gold just looks really classic, and now it's ready to be hung. This might be my favorite wreath that I've ever created. I am so obsessed with it, and I think I like it better than any wreath that I've seen in stores this year. This is the perfect addition to my home for the holiday season, and I cannot wait to display it on my front door, and I hope that you guys found inspo to make one of your own as well. You guys, it is actually snowing outside right now, and it is very light, but just knowing that it's cold enough to be snowing outside honestly makes me happy. And although I don't necessarily like the cold, I love the idea of having a white Christmas, and I hope you guys enjoyed all those projects as well. And if you want to see all those pieces styled up in my home, make sure that you check out my fireplace makeover coming up super soon. And again, a big thank you to Ana Luisa for sponsoring today's video. Make sure that you check out my link in the description box so you could shop there, buy one, get one 60% off sale, and maybe some of you guys will twin with me with their gorgeous pieces. If you're inspired and recreate any of the pieces from today's video, don't forget to share them over on Instagram and tag me as well. And of course, I will share some of your projects on the screen. Thank you so much for sharing your creativity with me. You all continue to amaze me, and I want to thank you for watching today's video. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!